Hey guys, so welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. So we've got a really cool tarot reading to do. In fact, we've got 3 questions. And this tarot reading is for Loryn. We won't get into the last names or anything like that because we'll protect other people's privacy in that. But Loryn wants to know, first of all, was it a bad idea quitting her job? She's a little bit concerned, worried, that's how she put it, about this job situation. So we're going to find out a little bit. I'm really cutting and shuffling these cards quite a lot. Just going to get them nice and mixed up. So this is the first question. So the first reading we're going to do is just specifically on this question and get a little insight about it. Hope everyone's having a great day out there. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay out the cards kind of ahead of time, and then we'll talk about them. For those of you guys that have followed the channel for any length of time, you guys kind of know my backstory. I'm a monk, but this is a very interesting read. I'm a monk, but when I was a small child, I had some psychic phenomenon happen. I sensed that some neighbors down the road from me were going to pass away in a car accident, and that they would get hit by someone that lost control coming at them on a bridge. And I had the whole picture in my mind and everything. And a couple of weeks later, when I came from the experience, I told my mom, I told my brother and that, and then they were reassuring to me that it was just, a bad dream, a bad nightmare, that I had nothing to really be concerned about. But it seemed so real to me. And then about a week and a half to 2.5 weeks later, it happened, and they passed away in that accident. So as you can imagine, as a small child, I was pretty alarmed by that. And so ever since then, just my intuition, I don't really know how else to really put it, psychic skills, whatever you want to call it, have just continued to exponentially get stronger and stronger. So today, in my 40s, it's for the most part pretty automatic. Like, things just come to me all the time. Do a lot of spiritual discipline and stuff all the time, so maybe that has something to do with it also. I really don't know. But what I do know is that I use this as a gift to try to help people in the best way that I can, to serve people and humanity as a kind of a service project that I do for spiritual purposes and so on and so forth. So that's kind of my backstory. So let's talk about Loryn for just a minute, though. Let's get off me. We'll talk about Loryn. And this idea about quitting her job, whether it's a good idea, bad idea, where are things at with her? So in the past, we have this card. This is the past card. This represents a past. Celebration, things are good. It's also considered almost like a wish card in many respects. It's a 10 in numerology, so it's kind of in between a new beginning and the end of another round of something. This is a representation of joy, satisfaction, personal attainment, even fulfillment with like love, relationships, that kind of thing. That was in the past. Now, where Loryn's at is kind of in the present moment. We have this card, another 10. Again, 10 is kind of like where it's kind of in between where something closes and another door is about to open. That's where this comes into play at. You look at this card, and right away you feel a little bit of heaviness, don't you? Why? Because it's a heavy burden that this person is carrying. You see all those logs or wands or whatever you want to call them. It's heavy. You get 10 of those things, and you get them up on your shoulder there, and I mean, it's a lot to have to carry. It's a lot of weight. So the symbology behind this card, as you might imagine, is carrying a heavy load. You know, it could be a mental thing. It could be like you're just, overworking yourself, trying too hard and maybe not getting any reward for the efforts that you're putting in, overcommitting to the point where everything is becoming a strain on you. The message for this card in the present moment, Loryn, is just really to let go of whatever oppressive stressors are out there on you. Now, a lot of people don't really know how to go about approaching doing that. So to give a little bit of advice on that, I want you to say, maybe you're the type of person, or maybe someone watching this is, and this is good advice for them even, where kind of maybe you've been in a situation before where, people tend to ask things of you. Can you do this for me? Would you be able to help me out with this? Can you pick me up on such and such day? Would you be able to come in on this shift and work? Would you be able to do this? Would you be able to, can I get you to do this? Come on, you can help me out with this. Please, look, I really need you. We're counting on you here. You need to do this. So already just me saying that, you're kind of feeling that. And it's like, and then of course, because of your personality and the type of person you are, your nature, it's hard sometimes to say no, right? And it could even be that you're okay with saying no, but then people just keep pushing you until the point where you're just like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Fine, just please leave me alone about it. So how do you combat that? Well, the easiest way to do it is called negotiation. And the way to do that is to say, well, I can do that for you if you will do this for me. And then you ask something back of them. And you ask them to do something that is a stressor, on your plate, something else that's on your plate that they will handle for you. And you get validation on it, and then you connect them with the person that you're supposed to help so that they help that person instead of you. So you take some of the burden off of yourself. So it's displacing, it's getting rid of one burden and taking on another one so that you're not overtaking yourself too much burden. It's good to help people, but at the same time, you have to maintain your own sanity and not overdo it. Not overdo it, because then you're of no use to really anyone, including yourself, if you're taking on too much. And that's kind of where the situation is at the moment. So that might be an approach that you might want to take on. If somebody says, well, no, I can't do that. Or it could even be as simple as like, hey, can you do this? And say, well, I really can't. I've got to work. I've got to make money. I've got to do this. And the person says, no, please, you don't need to work every single day. You can help me with this. And if they start to do that, then one of the things that you can do is just say, well, okay, that's fine, but are you going to pay my bills? I mean, if I help you out and I don't go to work and I don't earn my paycheck, are you gonna at the end of the month take care of my bills? Are you gonna pay my electric bill, my gas bill, water, trash, internet? I mean, are you going to do those things? And if you put it back on them like that, then it's like, okay, fine, okay, I'm sorry I even asked, no problem. I understand, you got a lot going on. And they will leave you alone. They'll back away. And then when it comes to trying to take advantage of your friendship or taking advantage of your willingness to always help people, they simply won't, or they'll start to get the hint, and instead of asking you, maybe they'll go ask someone else. So it takes that burden off of you at that point. So that's a little bit of advice, just in terms of how sometimes we can handle things. As a monk, we do a lot of service projects, but one of the things that we learn early on is that it's really easy to overcommit ourselves, right? And oftentimes, if you don't follow through on something, you're a liar, or, people really start to hold that against you. And then, you're only as good as your word, right? So instead of faltering or, getting into a situation like that, sometimes it's just better just to say, if I can do it, I'll do my best. But right now I've got a lot going on. So maybe it would be better for you to ask someone else to do that. And people will get the hint. If they keep pestering you or keep pushing you on it and stuff. And then you can just kind of say, well, I might be able to help you with that if you'll do this, this, and this for me. So, I mean, if you don't mind coming by and doing that, or, maybe helping us out with this, then, I could probably help you out. But because I've got these other things I've got already prior commitments to, if you could get me help with that, then yeah, I could probably help you with that. Then people will either do one of two things. They'll either find a way to help you with your situation so that then you'll help them with theirs, or they'll say, you know what, that's okay. I actually got somebody else, and then they'll leave you alone about it. It's a little practical advice for you, a little monk advice. Hope it helps. So that was the present moment. So if that is resonating, or if it makes sense to you at all, maybe a little help there for you. In the near future, and I'm calibrated to about 3 months out, in the near future, we have the Four of Pentacles. That's this card right here. You can see him. Hopefully, it's Four of Pentacles. This card is, I always kind of refer to it like, if I'm naming it off, as like the miser card. This person holds on to what they've got. They're not too quick to let go of things. I'm not saying they're a hoarder by any means, but they're just, they're afraid of letting go of the money and the resources and things that they have, because they're afraid that if they do, and they end up needing that, sooner rather than later, that they'll really feel bad because now they don't have it any longer. So it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that people are trying to plan for the future. And then sometimes in doing so, they do it at other people's expense. So like, say, for example, you have $1,000 and, a homeless person has none. And they're very hungry. And then they ask you for like a small donation or something. You might think to yourself, well, if I give them, even $5, that's going to take away from my savings. And then what if I end up needing that $5 like later on? Well, the reality is that you have 1,000. The chances that you'll need that 5,000 or that 500 is very rare. So to hold on to it at the expense of like maybe possibly helping somebody else out, it's what this card is really all about. It's, kind of unwilling to share or help others that are in need. And basically what happens is that this attachment to the money, it enslaves you, keeping you from really valuing, really the more important things in life, right? So that's coming up, that's down the road. Now, the reason that this makes sense, and I'm picking up, maybe about 2 weeks out, the reason that this makes sense with this reading is because Loryn's question goes back to the idea of, was it a bad idea that I quit my job? I'm worried. Well, when you're worried about things, we have a tendency to try to, out of self-preservation, kind of hold on to our resources or try to like ration what we have. So because if we don't have anything coming in and we just have so much saved or so many funds, we may be very like less willing to part with what we do have. It makes sense. I'm picking up about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks out with this particular one. So there's that aspect of it. Now let's talk about the energy that surrounds this heavy burden card, this 10 of Wands we talked about. The energy surrounding that is this card. It's a King of Wands. Kings are all about authority. Wands are about creative energy or energy in action. So, the energy surrounding this heavy burden right here is sort of this, this king is a visionary, this king gets people kind of excited about the future, can get them going along with their plan and that kind of thing. The Wands, the 10 of Wands right there, is engaging yourself in activities that may not produce a fruitful result. Why? Why would you do that? Because you're sold on an idea internally that what you're doing is going to lead to a good result. So you believe it, but the reality of it may not necessarily pan out for you. It would be almost like, if someone told you, oh, you should start this home-based business, you should do this thing and stuff like that. It's going to take care of you so well. It's going to give you all this money coming in every month. You could quit your job and then this is going to like totally take care of you. And I mean, you'll be a millionaire in a year and yada, yada, yada. So it sounds good, right? I mean, it sounds like it may be a false bill of goods, but it sounds good. And if that person's convincing or, like this King of Wands is, it may, you very well may take the leap of faith, right? You may quit the job, go in this direction, listen to this authority figure in your life, and really believe that if you follow their advice, their instructions, that yes, you'll make a sizable income, more than you ever would at that job, and things are going to be great, right? It happens. And there's no, it just happens. Okay. So we don't blame ourselves for thinking this way. We don't blame ourselves when people influence us. It just happens, and nobody is really immune from it. I mean, we all go into things oftentimes, like, especially like new things. New things oftentimes excite us, right? They get us kind of excited, but at the same time, we don't really know what the outcome is going to be or what it's going to lead to. But the anticipation of something positive is exciting, right? So it's like, if I do this, I'm going to have like this income coming or this money, or my life is going to be so much better. Or if I do this, this relationship is going to be like the most amazing thing, or that everything is going to work out, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't there is no guarantee, right? We can try to sell ourselves on the idea, and then maybe we go and do something like quit our job, or break up with a person that we were really happy with because we think that being with someone else, that the grass will be greener on the other side. And then we find out very quickly that it isn't. Not to say that it couldn't be. It's just that more often than not, statistically speaking, the probabilities are not in our favor that it will be necessarily. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't go out and experiment and have good experiences or try new things. It's just the approach that we take is really the thing that's the most important thing. So instead of maybe quitting the job to go start an online home-based business type scheme or something, instead of doing that, we would keep the job and then just kind of do it on the side. And if this person was legitimately honest with us and they told us the truth and they themselves were very successful with it, instead of quitting the job, we would, in a part-time setting, still be able to make better income, or at least, the thing would be worth pursuing, right? And if it wasn't, then we would learn very quickly, and then we could just, bail out or jump out of that situation. So that is the King of Wands. That's the energy surrounding this heavy burden, these oppressive stressors that I talk about. So the next card is the Fool. This is really what Loryn is hoping for. This is kind of like the attitude card. And when I say fool, I'm not saying literally that Loryn is a fool or that Loryn is being foolish. That's not what the Fool is all about. If you look at the Fool, in fact, it's a very good card. I mean, you got the sunshine. It's a beautiful day. This is, we're on a whim here. It's a 0 in the tarot for the major arcana. If you look at the 0 up there. And it's really about starting a new journey. It's about like just being open, being willing to experiment, being willing to be free. It's a very freeing card. There's a really positive energy around this. The only downside is like, and here's the thing, guys, with the tarot, oftentimes a card can have a lot of positive, meaning to it. And then it can also have some negative downside effects as well. And so there's always that silver lining, but then there's also the other side that needs to be factored in, or at least considered, or that you need to be made aware of. And so that's what I try to do with this. So this is a really positive card, but the only downside is that sometimes, especially like we see this prevalent like in younger people, especially younger people that haven't really had a lot of life experiences. So, they don't have enough wisdom per se to make a sound decision or really see where something is going to more likely than not lead to. But this particular card right here, the Fool, sometimes, we can be so footloose and fancy free and so moving in this direction that we put on blinders. And so we don't necessarily always see what's in front of us. And like with the Fool getting ready to jump off the cliff, it can be catastrophic or can lead to some things that are going to be life lessons that, as someone once said, you can do things the hard way or the easy way, or the easy way and the hard way. I don't exactly know how it goes, guys, but the thing with the Fool is that, we can be conscientious and try to be a little bit aware of our decisions and where they might lead us. Or we can just kind of go with the flow and just see wherever life takes us. Footloose, fancy free. And there's pros and cons to both decisions. I mean, the footloose and fancy free, you may have a lot of great experiences and things that, later on in life you can just, be glad that you took those chances and that you had those experiences. And they're really probably what make life so exciting for us. And they definitely make for some good stories, war stories, or whatever you want to call them later on in life. It's that it's optimism. This card is a lot about optimism. Optimism at the expense of logic and reasoning sometimes, though. And so that's the kind of thing that you just kind of have to watch out for. It's good to be optimistic, though. Optimism oftentimes leads us down some really positive roads. So there's that side of it. So let's talk about the outcome, and then we'll talk about the answer, the key to that outcome, to getting what we want. So the outcome card that we see here is Temperance. Okay. If you look at this angel's got 2 cups. There's some kind of a concoction, a liquid, a beverage that she is mixing between the 2 cups. I'm trying to get the right proportions with this liquid to come to a perfection in what the angel is doing. So it's almost like if we have liquid in cup A and liquid in cup B, or like soda 1 and soda 2, maybe you've got like Sprite in this hand and you got 7-Up in this, and you want to find out if you take Sprite and 7-Up and you mix them in different types of proportions, what proportion can you mix them to where they give absolutely the best taste? Better than if you had a 7-Up, better than if you had a Sprite. What would be the ideal? Like, what's the right ratio of each when mixed together that would create the absolute best taste in a person's mouth? To get there, you have to have patience, right? That's temperance. Temperance is synonymous with patience, but it takes time. But it doesn't mean that with patience you give up or that you stop acting or you stop doing things. It just means that you have a little moderation. You have to have some balance. It's about inner peace and patience, like just willing to go with the flow, not being in too big of a hurry, more or less being laid back. I always like to think of it as like going with the flow. You've got that cup and this is coming down at a certain flow rate. This is coming down at a certain flow rate. So going with the flow is a really good way of thinking about temperance, even tempered, just being in a good place mentally and spiritually. So that's the outcome that we get here. So it's not bad at all. Now we have the key to getting what we want. For things to materialize, obviously we have to have patience. But what is the key to that? That is the Knight of Pentacles. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, this Knight of Pentacles, Knights are really about fast-moving energy, whereas Temperance is more about slower energy, or just having patience with things. But this is the most patient Knight. Interestingly enough, the most patient Knight in the tarot. It's the Knight of Pentacles. And the reason it's so patient is because if you look, Pentacles are really about, it's really like a Capricorn type energy, a Taurus type energy, like a Virgo kind of energy. It's that energy, that earthiness. It's about stability, sure-footedness. It's about material possessions and being able to save money and being able to get things built up and being able to work in a certain direction in order to bring a level of stability in your life. And so, Loryn, that's what this is really all about. Temperance right there is about having patience, and getting that patience, eventually you will acquire and will get what you want, and you'll come up with a perfectedness to it. But in order to get there, the answer or the key is this material movement. It's like I said, the slowest night. It's about making every detail is covered, being a perfectionist in a sense, that goes very well with temperance. Is probably the best card that you could get to go with temperance in the tarot. And so what this is telling you, like as far as the spread goes, as far as like quitting the job, is that what you're seeking, like internally, what you're truly desiring, the thing that's really captivating you, the thing that really has you excited, whatever that is, you have to have some patience for that to materialize and to turn into exactly what you want. It could be some time, okay? So in the meantime, while that is materializing, in order to get it to materialize, you have to have this kind of it's almost like a material philosophy. In other words, you have to start kind of taking things and planning things out a little bit. It's okay to be the fool and to go into these directions and to do these kind of things and to take chances, take a leap of faith. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's admirable, in fact, in some regard. But for that, there's also that other side that needs to be satisfied as well. That is basically the question of how you progress with your goals. And in order for these other things to materialize, it doesn't mean that, to kind of put it into another metaphor kind of thing, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So in other words, it's okay to go in different directions and to follow your heart, to follow your dreams, and to go into these other realms of possibility. But at the same time, have patience along that journey. You don't have to go so quickly. You don't have to just, jump before you look. So, in other words, give a little caution to your actions. If you've got a job and it's not killing you or anything like that, maybe just kind of take a slower approach. You don't have to just go quit it because somebody said something to you in the moment, and then a week or two later, you're hanging on to whatever you have left, out of fear that you're not gonna have food to eat tomorrow or something along those lines. So that's just kind of where it's throwing caution to the wind a little bit. So, and I think that's really good practical advice in general, but that's really what I'm picking up as far as your situation goes. So I hope that this resonates with you as far as this particular question goes. Now we're going to move on from this question. So was it a bad idea to quit your job? Not a bad idea. Would I tell you to worry? There's not a lot to worry about, but at the same time, practicalities need to be considered also. It's okay to dream and to move into different directions. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, and it's okay to follow your heart totally. And wherever your nature is propelling you to go, listen to that inner voice inside of you. But at the same time, hedge your bets a little bit too. There's nothing wrong with planning. It doesn't mean that you have less faith because you're proactively planning or trying to take care of things. You have to kind of plan a little bit for tomorrow as well. But as you're planning for tomorrow, just realize that Rome wasn't built in a day, that, things are going to turn out good for you. You have nothing to worry about. But at the same time, moving forward at this point on, it's about kind of picking up the pieces with where you're at, and also hedging those bets, getting some other form of income coming in, and doing it in a nice way, something that brings some relief to you. If nothing more, maybe getting another job would give you a bit of relief, like mental relief. At least you know that you got a paycheck coming in or something like that, some income coming in, so that while you're building this other thing up or whatever you've got in your mind to do, it's coming along, Okay, so that's that question. So I hope that helps you. Now, I'm just going to go to the next one. Okay, so the next question that Loryn has is, when will I move out? Okay, so when will she move out? So for that, we'll do another reading. Let's get some clarity on this. I'm disconnecting from the previous question on some level, just slightly. And I'm moving into this next question, and I'm letting things just kind of I'm picking up a couple of things, and it's just it's almost like the Wheel of Fortune. If you've ever seen that show, Wheel of Fortune, the wheel is spinning, and Pat Sajak is, and everyone's watching, and people are wondering, is it going to land on, lose a turn or bankruptcy, or is it going to land on $10,000, or what's it going to do? But as it's going, and it keeps going around and all, everybody's just it's tunnel vision. Everyone's kind of looking at it, and that's so those numbers are every time it clicks another thing, you don't know if it's going to land on that. That's kind of like how I get sometimes, like when it comes to time, or I'm getting like if it has to do with time or something. Oftentimes I'll get like a couple of different numbers or things that are coming in, kind of like the Wheel of Fortune does. And then as I do, it starts to some things start to disappear until I get down to the last number, and that's usually the number that I was looking for the whole time. So we'll cut these. Oops, we had a jumper card. We're going to put him on top. I'm going to go ahead and put these out here. Okay, so in the past we have this heavy burden. It's coming back up again. It's a 10. Before it was in the present moment, so you can tell we're kind of jumping forward here with this reading. In the present moment with this, as far as this question of when will I move out, we have the Magician. It's a really good card. This is, we talked about the Fool in the last spread. This card here comes right after the Fool in the Major Arcana. You notice that by the Roman numeral 1 right there. We have the infinity sign. That usually indicates a relationship of some kind. We also have all of the different resources. We have the wand, the sword, the chalice, which is a cup, and then we have the pentacle, which is also synonymous with money or coins. So you have all the resources. So right now, to be able to move out and stuff like that, yeah, you have to go ahead. I mean, you can do it right now if you wanted to. Things would work out for you right now if you did them, is what I'm getting at. You just have to trust that you have those resources in that. So the future, though, is where I'm a little bit concerned at for you. The reason I say that is because you got the Tower. If you look at this, it looks like, doom and destruction. In some spreads, it really is. In this particular spread, it's I'm picking up that, it's not going to really, it's going to shake things up. Like if you move out, your life is going to get shaken up a little bit. You have the resources and things to be able to do it, to move in that direction immediately, like in the next week or so. But if you do, there's going to be some upheaval in your life that will happen. So that's something that I would be very, very careful about. So I'm not going to recommend, just from these three cards, that you actually move out right now, if you can help it. That being said, that if you don't move out, it is very possible still that you have an upheaval from your current situation. And if that's the case, I would be trying to save back some money or have a contingency plan in place so that if things don't work out with your current living situation as they stand, that you have a place to go, that you're taken care of, that you feel secure with, some alternative arrangement. So the energy surrounding that magician, though, is judgment. So judgment, this is about like revelation, things coming out of the woodwork, skeletons in the closet, kind of revealing some things, this kind of thing. That's surrounding that energy of being able to do things. So in order to move forward, you have to kind of reconcile the past. That's essentially what this judgment card is all about. Let go of things like fear, regret, anger, these kind of things, to be able to move forward. But yeah, as far as resources, and you have that. I mean, you have those material resources and things. You have the ability to act, to experience in that right now. And to really be able to do that energy surrounding that is really about lessons from the past, letting go of, like I said, regrets, fear, anger, hurt, just everything really that kind of holds you back from staying where you're currently at. So that you can move forward in a positive direction. Now, as far as where you're at mentally or what you would like to see as the outcome, kind of your attitude about this whole situation and all, we have the Page of Cups. So the pages are messengers. They bring us messages. They're normally indicative or indicated by a younger person. The chalice or the cup right there is represents emotion. The fish coming from water represents the unconscious or the subconscious. So it's also about relationships and that. So it's a message about relationships and it's really about following your intuition with regard to this magician and with regard to where you're at. You have the resources to do things, to make moves. But when this card comes up, it's you're feeling something, like something is coming. It's like an intuitive message or kind of creates an emotional response within you. There's something going on there under the surface, something deeper, something that's below the surface. With why you want to move and that kind of thing. Those are things that should be addressed. And that's where that judgment card comes into play. It's like letting go of some regrets, some fear, some different things that have gone on in the past, that kind of thing. So that you can move forward in a positive direction. You don't want to just act to get out of a situation. You want to be able to move forward, in a nice way. So you can leave the past literally in the past. Otherwise, it'll follow you. Now, as far as the outcome goes, the tarot is saying that it's kind of uncertain. You're going to be seeing things in a different way, right? That's what that's what this card is really all about. If you think of a hangman, it's not because somebody put him up there and hung him upside down as a form of punishment. It's actually because the hangman wanted to go upside down so that the hangman could look at the world differently, like upside down. If you look at things differently, oftentimes you find solutions or answers that you didn't know were there. And that's what you're going to find moving forward here. That's what you'll find moving forward here. So if you can give yourself this opportunity to see things differently or to look in directions that maybe you wouldn't have looked at before, then success can definitely be yours. You'll be moving out, at some point. As far as the key to this, it's a Ten of Swords. Tens are about completions in the tarot. It's really kind of that in-between period of where one door closes and another opens. The 10 swords in the back of this poor person, this poor gentleman. It's finality. It's about ending. And when things end, and they will, that's when you'll be able to move. That's when you will move. And that's pretty much what's going on with all of this. It's like maybe within a week and a half or something like that, some things are going to get kind of deep. There's going to be some heavy energy there. And, that can very well turn into a situation where you're forced to move. But if and when that happens, and again, this is up to you entirely. Now that you have the information, you can make different types of choices that can, of course, alter your future, alter your reality. And hopefully you'll take some of this into consideration as far as just the practical advice of, holding back some resources, so that you have the resources, magician, to be able to survive, to be able to thrive and do things. The power is in your hands. Is another. Right now, you have the power to make changes, positive changes for yourself. But it's all about how you look at things. That's what this spread's really all about. So if you can manage, so kind of a plan of action here. If you want something a little bit more, less fuzzy, and more kind of defined, I would say right now, start looking at the resources that are available to you. It could be resources that you haven't looked at before. I say that because of the hangman here. So start to look in other areas that you maybe look to in different directions that you haven't yet considered before making a move. Because in about a week and a half, somewhere along those lines, it looks like you have this tower here, and I'm just really picking up that the rug is about to come out from underneath you. If you don't change or change up your situation at all, your situation will literally change, and there's not going to be a lot that you'll be able to do about it. And it'll just happen like that. And it can be very unsettling when that kind of thing happens. You get the Tower card, that's usually what happens. The positive thing about the Tower card, though, is that, say, for example, like you don't take this advice and you just stay in the situation. Things happen, you get forced out on your own. Maybe you don't have anywhere to go. You're afraid, you're scared. You just quit the job. You have no other income. You have no income coming in. What are you going to do? The Tower really does force you to think creatively, and it does kind of lead into this new direction. And like I said, the answer to your situation is closing a chapter on one aspect of your life and being able to move in another direction. The good thing about that is that as you move in this other direction, things are going to really start to work out for you. Everything that's been so far and everything that you're thinking is going to be, I'm sorry, it's just not going to be something that you'll be continued to think about, because you're going to be in a completely different phase of your life, a completely different direction. And so look for that to happen and plan for that as well. You got about a week and a half. So, I mean, you do have some time to, get your affairs in order, make some arrangements, start looking for other things to happen in that. I'm not saying all this to scare you or frighten you. It's not about that. You're going to be fine. The magician tells you you're going to be fine. You've got all those resources in that. But start to look now. Start to take action now. I wouldn't wait on it too long, to be perfectly real with you. Let's continue. So we had another question. I think it was a two-part question. I think this will bring even more clarity to this reading and everything that we have. Just make sure I've got everything here. So I just went in. I took all those cards and I put them in strategically throughout the deck, just kind of randomly. I didn't want them to be close to each other where, they get pulled at the same time or anything like that. And then I just shuffle these really, really good. And we'll do this other reading for you. And again, if you find things get a little hairy or, things on that end, reach out to me, Loryn. I'm definitely here for you. I'll do everything I can to help your situation. No problem. No worries. I'm not really picking up really anything too terribly negative, though. Just kind of, just things are going to shift. That's life, right? Get in. All right, we're going to cut these cards. There we go. And so let's look at the last question, I believe it was. Okay, so this is what's my calling? Like, am I supposed to look for 9-to-5 jobs? Loryn says I'm not lazy. I just couldn't stand my last job. It was very overwhelming for me. Yeah, I get that. Okay, so I'm just kind of processing this here. Okay, let's do this. Wow, what a great reading. Just seeing what I pick up, intuitively about this whole situation. So the first card we have is the King of Cups. King of Cups is about kings are about authority. They're authority figures. They command, they control, they make the rules. They also build the foundations that our lives are set upon, like they set the standard, in other words. What they want is what they get, right? It's kings. But kings are really smart because they know that to get what they want, they have to be very strategic. They know how to play the game. I'm not trying to get all Machiavellian here. A lot of the tarot cards seem to be very Machiavellian in nature. But this is about relationships. It's about the unconscious. It's about emotion. This king right here knows emotion very well, knows how to, read people emotionally, read their emotions, understand what makes them tick, and then being able to set precedents, enact laws, and different things along those lines to cater to the vast majority of people's needs. That's what kings do. So they create foundations. This king is very compassionate. He cares. That leads us into the present, and that's this Five of Swords. Okay, a little bit interesting card here. Fives are about change. We see that happening right now in Loryn's life. Sometimes this card is called it's the Thief in the Night. What this card really indicates, though, to me personally, is going it alone, stepping away from our situation, finding our independence, moving in our own direction, stepping out of the shadow of someone else. That's what this card is really all about. That's where we're at right now. Sometimes this card is also about the idea of winning at any cost. Whatever we have to do in order to prove that we were right. Say whatever we have to say. Do whatever we have to do. Cheat if we have to. No judgment or anything. And actually, this is not the Thief in the Night card at all. It's the Five of Swords, which is really about this, just really means winning at any cost. It's also about change, though. Sometimes, though, when we win, we don't really win, right? We think we've won. We may have come out on top, but for winning, we're also losing. So it's like we just sometimes discover, kind of to our own dismay, that maybe the price of winning wasn't really worth the reward that we received for winning. Just wasn't really worth it. Where we're going at came up again is this idea of looking at things differently, getting a different perspective. Changing the way that we look at the world, changing the way we look at things. So what that says is, like, with regard to like the jobs and the 9-to-5 jobs, especially with the sense that you didn't like the last one, it's about asking ourselves these internal questions like, well, why didn't I like my job? What aspects of the job did I not like, or did I not care for? Did I not like the job because there was something else that I was really more passionate about wanting to do? Did I not like the job because the tasks that they made me do were tasks that just didn't resonate with me? Did it bring me mental anguish when I got off work at night or during the day? I came home. Did they overwork me so much that I was completely exhausted? I mean, what is really and normally it's not normally just one thing, but it's a combination of many things. Did I not like the people that I worked with? Was the office politics, like a cancer, eating away at me every day? Was it a hostile environment that I was working in? Was it an unsafe environment? So there's a lot of these different factors that go into work. Is it just not my nature to go to a 9-to-5 job? Is there a different calling? Do I feel like I'm being called to do something different, and that by moving in this direction, I'm kind of not honoring that? And then there's that sense of dissatisfaction, or that kind of that it's kind of like a disconnection, because we feel we should move in one direction, but we're really not in a place to be able to move in that direction because we feel like we need to take care of these other things for survival, because of expectation, because people expect it of us, because of obligation. Maybe we have obligation to other people. And so instead of doing what we feel like we should be doing, we're honoring things and doing things that we just don't really feel that we should be doing. It's like cognitive dissonance, It's like this, almost like a buyer's remorse, but it's specifically directed to this idea of like, I feel like I should do something else, but yet I keep doing this over here, and so I'm dissatisfied, I'm unhappy. It's not that this is a bad job per se, but it's just that my heart, my soul, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is really saying, no, you should really be doing this over here. Your nature is more for this. And until you do this, you're really not going to be truly happy. Sometimes, we take the advice of other people, and, we feel like we should go in one direction, but other people say, no, don't do that. That's stupid. Don't do it. I'm telling you, you need to focus on this first. Then after you get to this benchmark, then if you want, you can start moving in that direction. So these other people are giving us these advices, and we say, okay, well, maybe they're right, or maybe they're wrong. We're not really sure, what is it that we really want? So all these different questions, this psychological stuff starts to affect us, right? Now that we've got all of this Loryn out of the way, and we've kind of just explored some of this territory here, we're going to shift gears here, because the second half of this reading is really about your outcome, your purpose, your direction, and that kind of thing. We talked about the 9-to-5 stuff. The calling is where we're headed now. The other job, letting it go, is fine. I would say disconnect from it. Don't worry about it. Let it go. It's not going to hurt you. Now it's about moving forward, though. So we got to the 10. Remember, we were talking about the 10 of swords, That's that ending right before we start the new chapter. And we had the tower, which is, where everything in our life just kind of like disappears all of a sudden, we thought everything was really secure and that we were in a good space. And now all of a sudden just the worst case scenario happens, or just something just out of the blue happened, and it just completely foiled everything that we were aiming or working so hard for. And everything just kind of, the walls come down around us, and now we're literally forced to move into a new direction, or, a new living situation, or a new job, or whatever the case happens to be. But now we're moving forward, and I've got some really good news for you. The second half of your reading and all brings hope to the situation, and it talks about what happens after the 10. So as we move into the next one and we move forward with the reading and stuff like that, what is to come? Like, what do you have to look forward to? Will it look better than before? Will it look worse? The good news is it's going to be much better, much, much better. And it's going to put you in a completely different stratosphere, so whatever tower you were living in before, you don't have to worry about that, because now you're fixing to get a mansion. You're gonna have a palace, and things are going to be so much better for you. Happiness is going to abound in you. Let me explain why. So the energy surrounding that, we talked about the 5 of Swords. Swords are also about mental activity. A lot of times when you get swords, especially you get them kind of in the middle there with the 5s and 6s and 7s, that's where you have a lot of this tipsy-topsy, turviness, turbulence, that kind of thing, where a lot of mental conflict, and you're just like confused, worried, concerned, unsure how to feel, unsure what to think, just don't really know. And because of all that energy being exerted mentally, you're exhausted, and it kind of just depletes your energy. And of course, if you're depleted of energy, what are you going to be able to do well? Well, you're not going to be able to go to your job. You're not going to feel good being at your work, and that's not going to bring you happiness. Relationships with other people and all, you may say the wrong thing to the wrong person and then be out on the street. You just don't know. These are possibilities of things that could happen. And that's what happens if you're mentally fatigued and, life takes you down this path. You could get to a point where you become dependent on, substance abuse, could happen. Maybe you need caffeine, and so you start drinking these energy drinks all day long, every day, just so that you can try and get through your day. It happens for people. But what is the solution to all of this? Well, the energy surrounding that, winning at any victory, is the Ace of Wands. This starts us on our new journey. Aces are about new beginnings. Wands are about action. This proverbial hand holding the wand right here with new growth on it really does take you and, moves you along the path in a nice way. Directs you. It's almost like if you've ever seen some of those shows where there's like a Gandalf or a wizard or something like that. This is the character that is really guiding you. It's there to help you. It's like a mentor, but it's someone that is not there to take credit, is not there to show how important they are. It's not there to, be a parent to you necessarily, but they're there genuinely to help you. They're kind of like, it's like one of those important, special people that the universe just kind of puts into your life. That's what's coming into your life. And this person will be there to help and to guide you and to bring you into, focus your ideas, focus your everything. You'll almost get like a tunnel vision. And when you get this tunnel vision, you'll start to see things much more clear, more narrowly, and then you'll be able to start to move into a really positive, really, really good direction. What your ideal would be like, and you have a good heart, by the way. I can tell, I feel that energy. It's about generosity. It's about giving and taking. Sometimes in life, we take. Sometimes in life, we give. Life's about giving and taking, right? Sometimes people are helping us out because we're in need. Sometimes we're helping other people out because they're in need. The idea is to do it with, a gleeful heart, a good heart, happiness, not out of resentment. When you're serving other people and you're doing it in a nice way, it doesn't matter if you get anything out of it or not. It's just the fact that you're happy doing it and you're satisfied, and that's a real positive. If you look at the people in here, the person doing the giving there is very happy. He's got a happy expression on his face. But you look at the two people taking, they're also very happy because they're not feeling any kind of like they're taking advantage of this person or anything like that. They feel very happy because now the universe is providing for them. They have someone there to help them, and they're very grateful, and they're very satisfied with that, and they're happy that this person is so willing to be kind and generous to them. And in time, what will happen is reciprocity. What goes around comes around. We have the balance scale here. It's about balancing things out. Sometimes we have to be the giver. Sometimes we have to be the taker. But it's not judging ourselves when we have to be the taker, not judging ourselves when we have to give. It's not being resentful. It's not harboring, bad negative emotions or anything like that. It's really about doing things in a nice way, serving people in the very best way that we can. And also when we have abundance or we have blessings and things, it's about gratitude, just really being grateful and really being, happy that the universe is providing. And that's kind of where you're at. You have this anticipation that things are going to work out. You had the Fool card earlier in the first reading. That same kind of energy carries over into this. And it's just like, you just want to do nice for people. You just want to be a kind person. You love everybody, that kind of thing. It's a good feeling, good energy surrounding that. Let's look at the outcome though. Where is this new direction going to come into play at? We have the 10 of Cups. Look at that, Rainbow of Cups. All the relationships in order, everything going really nice. 10 is really about balance and harmony. It's that balance of like on one side is ending, on the next is a beginning. And in this case, we have the new beginning. And what the new beginning looks like for you, it's all about joy. It's all about happiness, personal attainment, total fulfillment of love in a relationship, perhaps. It's just being in complete harmony with the universe and the people in your life, your job situation. Everything is going to work out for you entirely. What is going to get you there? What is going to unlock that door? What's the key? I saved the best for last. It's the number 3 in the major arcana, and it's the Empress. The Empress. Very female energy here. Now Venus. This is like Mother Nature. This is where, Mother Nature comes in and helps us. Mother is very nourishing, always nourishing us, helping us, bringing good things into our life, helping us when we can't help ourselves, totally taking care of us, comforting us. If we have a bad day, mother is usually there to comfort us, reads us the bedtime stories at night, helps us in so many different ways, gives selflessly 100%, 110%, 120%, 1,000% to us always. Might complain a little bit, but more often than not, just kind of sweeps things under the rug, especially like even when they're sensing injustice or feeling resentment, they still just kind of let it go, kind of let it brush off of them. And that's where this energy is. This is also really about, a lot of times when this card comes up, it's about pregnancy, it's about fertility, it's about birth, it's about new things happening or coming into play. So consider that also as a possibility. And all of that leads us into this 10 of Cups, this total satisfaction and joy that will be coming into your life very, very soon. We're looking at just a couple weeks out, and it starts to transition, and it will only continue to build onto that. So with regard to, what is your role or what is your job in that? It's going back to that magician that we talked about before in the other spread about having all the resources and everything like that. It's really about knowing that you have the resources and that the things that you're really good at, the things that you maybe dismiss because you're just not even aware that you're good at those things, but other people recognize those things about you, those qualities. It's about using those things to your advantage. But if you don't know what they are, how can you use them to your advantage, right? That's a good point. So what do? We start to really do some introspection. We get some feedback from other people that we trust. It could be a mother, in fact, and just kind of get some perspective and trust. We don't judge what's said to us. We just listen. And as you listen and you bring this information in, you start to kind of put 2 and 2 together, and then you get 4, and you get more, and you get even more, and more and more and more, until at some point, everything completes itself. And you get right back to that 10 of cups, the 10 being the ending of all that progression to get you exactly where you want to go. Everything is going to work out. So as far as the job goes and everything like that, I'm not exactly 100% sure. I wouldn't say that you really have to worry about it though, because this energy, you have so many cards in the spreads that we've done of just like where the universe is going to help you out. We had that, that Ace of Wands, which is, we were talking about like Gandalf, or we were talking about the Magician, and we were talking about, just all these different forces that are going to come into your life to help you when you least expect it and you most need it. And those things are going to really just help you in your time of need, and they're going to really progress you along your journey. And it's not going to be very short. It's going to be rather quick. But at the same time, temperance tells us what? Patience. And we need to just kind of go with the flow. Remember that. Things are going to be fine for you, Loryn. So guys, I hope that you guys have got a lot out of maybe learning some about the tarot just from the spreads that we've done here. Loryn, I really want to tell you that, just as to give you some finality here, you don't have to worry about that job. You can let that go. Your living situation is going to take care of itself with or without you. My best advice for the living situation is start looking for a place now. At least start analyzing some of your options. It looks like with your readings that a lot of times the universe is going to step in anyway, and is going to give you opportunities to look at things differently than maybe you even consider looking at them now. So in the meantime, start to look at things kind of differently. Consider the things that are the most natural for you to consider, but then go a step beyond that, kind of at a meta level. And the tower is about looking at things differently, right? If you are in a tower, what can you do? If you look outside of a tower, you can see so much around you. So you can see the things that if you were down on the ground, you could never see. That's right now where you're at. While you're still in that tower, start looking. That's what you need to be doing. You need to just kind of look at your resources that you have right now. Start seeing, well, what can I do with what I've got right now? What avenues do I have to make these changes, and do it before this tower comes out from underneath you and you're no longer in the tower any longer. While you have the ability to do it in the next week and a half, really take this time to introspect, do your due diligence, get yourself set up in a nice position so that as this situation starts to unravel, you're prepared and ready, and you're in a good situation, and you're taken care of in that. So that's really where it is. So don't be worried. Take the advice. You're going to be fine. Universe is going to help you out when you need it. You're not by yourself. If you need anything, I do mean anything, please reach out to me. I'm here for you always. As your tarot coach, I got your back. Guys, so that ends Loryn's reading. Guys, as a monk here, I do this at the end of the videos. We take a vow of poverty. Our whole mission in life is to spread love for God and to help people in need. We try to do that through the services that we do. Like even this is a service that I offer. If you want to donate, if you want to help, you absolutely can. Just go to helpbydonating.com. You can give a donation if you like. That helps us to continue on to do the things that we do in order to spread the message of love for God, to provide food and stuff for those in need, to take care of our own basic maintenance and needs. And yeah, that's it. Only do so if it's in your heart to do it, not for any other reason. Otherwise, you'll feel resentment. We don't want you feeling that. We don't want to be the cause of anybody's resentment. But if it's in your heart, it's in your ability to do so, please give, please help. It does do a lot. It does go a long ways. And we're very cautious in how we spend money, very practical in what we do with it. So there's that. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you like the video. And of course, subscribe and hit the bell notification, and you'll get notifications every time we come on and do these videos. If you want to learn more about tarot, if you just are curious or have never really had a tarot reading before or something like that, and you'd like to come on while we do these videos, you're more than welcome to jump on the chat. Sometimes when we do these more in the evening, more people are in the chat. They'll jump on, we'll get their questions answered and everything like that. And yeah, so that's that. Guys, it's such a pleasure and such a blessing to be able to do this service. You guys don't even know how rewarding this is for me personally to be able to do. I just want to say thank you if you tune in and watch these videos. I especially thank you if you're liking the videos. That does help the videos rank a little bit more in YouTube so that other people can, learn about this channel and stuff as I continue to try to build it. And so any and all support and help is always welcome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Much love, many blessings. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge.